It's lovely to be back with you once again on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com, and we are very excited. We are looking at some cricket in Sri Lanka. The West Indies are coming for some one-day cricket and T20 cricket. England will be following with 2 test matches, so it is going to be very exciting times as far as the Sri Lankan cricket fans are concerned. We hope you're doing well. We are certainly fine. Jehan Mubarak with me. Had a close shave in one of your games, Royal games.
Yes, we came back, lost on first innings to Dimuth and then managed to salvage the game with an outright win.
No wonder he is smiling. It would have been very tough to have got a smile out of him at Royal lost to Dimuth.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be sitting here if that happened.
Anyway, it's always good to fight back and come back, and Royal has shown their spirit, and Jehan Mubarak has lived up to your spirit, is it? To make sure that the boys fight.
Yeah, I prefer not getting into those situations, first of all, but to always be able to play on top. But it's good that they fought and came 3 weeks before the big match.
Yeah, 3 weeks before the big match. And talking about big matches and talking about cricket, I told you the West Indies are here. They're starting off on the 22nd with the first ODI at the SSC. It's a day game. And then we go to Hambantota. It's been a while since we've been there, but it's good to be there again. It's a large ground. It's a ground that was built in the deep south, and it's indeed a good decision to ensure that such facilities are being made good use of. So that happens on the 26th of February. Then we go to Pallekele for the first match, or at least the third ODI and their first match, and then it gets followed up by 2 T20 games. Right, now we got the West Indian side here, the West Indian squad, which you should know, but some of the names, say Hope, Cottrell, Pooran, I did see Pooran and Hope in particular. I saw Hope getting 100 in a tri-series in Zimbabwe. I saw Pooran batting in the BPL 2 years ago. And by and large, what do you reckon looking at this side? No seniors, obviously. No Chris Gale. Those big names are missing. But this looks a decent side.
It looks a decent side, and they've been doing well in the shorter format, especially. Pollard is there captaining, so he adds that seniority. Jason Holder is there, who's also captain the West Indian team.
Why? What's the issue there? I mean, I've always been very interested to know why Jason Holder just opted out and he's now not captaining the side, but he was quite decent.
I thought he did a decent job. He held that team together, and he was a good all-rounder, and he led the team from the front. But I think maybe, I don't know, the West Indian islands also have their own issues amongst themselves, so maybe it's an island thing, but they have a good squad. And Alzari Joseph, another good, very good young prospect. So they have a really good team.
Actually, talking about Holder, I think he has the makings of a good captain, or ideal captain. You know why? Because he is not a bowler or a batsman. I mean, captaincy is not going to burden him too much. He'll just go and get his 2 wickets, 3 wickets, he'll get his 30 runs. So it's not going to make too much of a difference. Anyway, as you say, islands could be the reason. But let's focus on the more important things, and that is the Sri Lankan side. We got a fair bit of options in terms of openers. We got the middle order, we got the seamers, we got the spinners. Mr. Mubarak, I always, when I talk to my guests, my question is, imagine that you're the chairman of selectors.
What a nightmare that would be.
I know, but at least for a few minutes, try and imagine that you're the chairman of selectors. Well, I don't want the 11, but then what would be the probable 14, 15 that you would go with? Well, 11 could change on a pitch to pitch and, according to the requirement, but at least what might be your squad?
Personally, you need to have a selection policy, and your 1, 2, 3, 4 top order should not change throughout a series, and even throughout at least a 6-month period.
Okay.
And you need to give, and we have not been consistent with our openers. Yes, Dimuth has been opening, but who partners him has always changed. So that understanding between the openers is very critical.
So just to stop you there, Jehan, Danushka Gunatilaka is an option. Kusal Pereira is an option. Dick Weller has been opening recently. Avishka Fernando is an option. Avishka, of course, can bat at 3 as well. So which one do you think you would want to go with?
I would go with Avishka.
Fernando
as an opener, or Kusal Pereira as one of the two, and maybe Danushka at 3, depending on the form that they are in. But once picked, because Avishka would be an ideal foil for Dimuth. Being a right-hander, Dimuth can knock it around
the
for one
approach
side.
also.
Yes, the approach is different. Whereas Danushka, Kusal Pereira, they are both left-handers, and that extra dimension, I think Avishka brings that in, and he has the license then to go.
So, but now when you say that you may go with Avishka or Kusal and then Danushka at 3, are you trying to tell me that you may not pick Kusal and Avishka in the same side?
Personally, Kusal Pereira.
Yeah.
Kusal and Avishka in the same side, yes.
Okay.
Kusal and Avishka. Kusal Mendis, probably not, because to me, I think Kusal Mendis, like we talked about after the Test series, yes, he has done well. He has got 100 in Zimbabwe. That's fine. I would still leave him out so that he can focus on the longer game. And that's where we initially went wrong, is when we brought him into short form from Test cricket.
So, what would be the pick as far as the middle order is concerned? So, it appears that Dimuth, Avishka, Kusal, maybe Danushka might be the 4 that 3 might be picked from. So, what about the middle order?
So, middle order, Angelo, Dhananjay De Silva, Dasun Shanaka, Shehan Jayasuriya, Oshada Fernando, depending on the pitch. If we need the extra spinning options.
Oshada doesn't bowl spin.
No. So, if we need an extra spinning option, then you can have Shehan Jayasuriya coming in.
But shouldn't Oshada be kind of not exactly permanent, but someone who's a front runner to be playing that
He can be there.
Yeah.
Oshada can be there.
Yeah.
Especially if Kusal Mendis is not there. So what will probably happen is Oshada will go out and Kusal Mendis will come in.
So Cambrian might be dropped for a Sebastianite. Is that what you're saying? If you look at the schools rivalry, because big matches are also coming up, so they'll be interested to know. Yeah. We will also have some schools rivalry. But tell me about Dick Waller then. I mean, if Kusal's playing, will Dick Waller keep or Kusal will keep?
Kusal should keep.
So Dick Waller looks struggling to get into the white ball side. Is that what you're saying?
And that's been the issue right throughout. Even the Test series, it's been Dick Waller playing ahead of Kusal as a wicketkeeper bat. And the same for the one days. It will be difficult to accommodate both of them in the same team, because then you're asking one of them to field and then he's playing as a specialist batsman, which I don't think is their role. Yeah,
I don't think Kusal wants to field either. He's not quite fond of fielding. Right, fast bowlers. Now, the options that come into our mind, or that's been given to us, Lahiru Kumara, Kasun Rajitha, Suranga Lakmal, Nuwan Pradeep. I think Nuwan Pradeep should be there.
Yeah.
He should be one of the front runners or starters. But which one out of the other 3? Because I think Sri Lanka may go with 2, with Matthews also bowling a bit of seam. So which one?
Suranga Lakmal or Lahiru Kumara. Again, depending on the pitch.
But don't you think Suranga and Nuwan are
similar, depending on the pitch again, because Suranga can get movement. If you are playing under lights and there's a bit of movement, he can. But Lahiru Kumara is the impact bowler, and if you want to rush the West Indian batsmen, if you want to use the short ball against them, I would go with Nuwan Pradeep and Lahiru Kumara.
Right. Yeah. Pradeep is also now a little bit gentler in pace. He's really not bending his back, so he's more the controlling option that they have. Spinners, we got Hasaranga and very famous tourist, Lakshan Sandakan. He is there on every tour, but the poor guy hasn't really stepped up and hasn't really been able to make a mark. So, what do you think? I mean, Dhananjay would come on and bowl his off.
Dhananjay can bowl, Jayasuriya can bowl if he plays, Angelo Matthews can bowl, Danushka Gunatilaka can bowl if he plays. So
I think Vanindu Hasaranga
will play. Vanindu Hasaranga has to play for sure. Yeah. But I still feel we're a little bit short on the spin option, so we might find another name being included into as a backup spin option. Who? Maybe Dilwan Pereira, maybe Amil Aponso, left arm spinner, because there is no left arm spinner in this squad, like a stock left arm spinner.
You mean an orthodox
left arm spinner? This is the squad that has been given to us.
Right, this is the squad that has been selected by our experts here, ThePapare.com. So you see, interesting, they're quite capable selectors, but like any selector do, they have their weaknesses. They can miss out a name or two. So Jehan Mubarak, seated next to me, is here to polish it up, tie it up, and ensure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, so that we have everybody in place. Right, that's as far as the Sri Lankan side is concerned. Now the women's ICC T20 World Cup 2020. Jan, I'm going to let you talk about this. You need to talk. You need to tell us what you think about the ladies cricket, because honestly, I've been disappointed. I mean, disappointed for one reason, because in comparison to most teams, Sri Lankan ladies team sadly has just been languishing at a particular place. They have not moved forward. Now, we got New Zealand on the 22nd, Australia on the 24th, India on the 29th, and Bangladesh on the 2nd of March. And the other thing about the Sri Lanka ladies cricket is Sri Lanka ladies best all-rounder Shashikala Sirivardhana is going to quit international cricket. She's the only ladies cricketer who's got 1,000 runs and 100 wickets. Actually, I like to use the word ladies instead of women. Women, doesn't it look a little bit rude? Isn't ladies a little bit more respectful? Refined. So I'll call her the ladies all-rounder rather than the women's all-rounder, Anyway, tell us about your thoughts on ladies cricket and why are we struggling?
Again, the same reason that we are struggling with men's cricket. It's not that we're not struggling with men's cricket. It's because we don't have a strong domestic setup for women.
Ladies have no domestic setup
No domestic setup at all. So it's very difficult to expect them suddenly to step it up and play international cricket. Because India, Australia, England, especially those three countries, and even the West Indies.
What about South Africa?
And they are on a higher level, and their domestic setup, they have a women's big bash or a ladies' big bash, if you would.
That's better.
And that experience that they have, and from looking at this squad, there is a lot of youngsters in there. So that experience in a World Cup, whether we have it or not, but we do have talent that we have seen, and we have ladies like Chamari Atapattu going and playing, scoring hundreds in big bashes. So that does inspire younger ladies or girls to step up and take up the sport, which is good. But I think we need more visibility for the sport in Sri Lanka if it is to grow.
You know why I'm laughing? Because we're calling women's ladies. So we may have to call the men's gentlemen.
That is a stretch. That is a stretch too far. I know it's a gentleman's game, but I'm not sure if it's always played.
Right. Anyway, one of the gentlemen who played cricket for Sri Lanka is retiring. Sachitra Senanayake.
Yes.
Right. He's played one Test match, 49 ODIs, and 24 T20s. You think he's an underachiever or used badly, or he's done his bit? What would be your assessment of him?
Sachitra, to me, the biggest issue happened when he had to remodel his action. Until then, he was a very effective short form bowler. He had a lot of variations. He had one that went the other way. He could change the pace of the delivery. But then he had to remodel his action. And since then, to me, he has not been the same bowler. And we've seen that a lot, even with, say, Tarun Kaushal. When he had to remodel his action, he's gone back. He hasn't come back the same.
Harbhajan Singh. Good example.
Harbhajan Singh.
Yeah.
But still, he's done a lot for the game of cricket internationally and domestically as well. Playing for SSC brings a lot of experience, and he's started scoring runs as a batsman. So you always find that good players who know the game, they will always find a way to be involved in the game. As a bowler, okay, if not, then as a batsman.
True. I think he's done yeoman services for Sri Lanka, and he's also played a lot of first-class cricket, as Jehan said. And he used to be called Jonty, you know that?
He's a brilliant fielder.
Yeah, when he was at Anand, one of the coaches who used to coach him used to say that one of his nicknames used to be Jonty. I tried hard to bring that name out, but no one actually picked it up.
It's very difficult to be a Jonty Rhodes at Ananda Mahawata. Let me tell you that. So if you are a Jonty Rhodes at Ananda Mahawata, you have to be a brilliant fielder.
He was.
So, and that's one thing that the stats don't show up. Runs, wickets will always show up, but how good you are as a fielder.
I know, and sadly also the other thing is sometimes fielding is judged by the catchers.
Yeah.
But the number of runs saved, boundaries saved. Amazing. Anyway, another area that really disappoints a lot of people is the Under-19 World Cup. Jehan, Bangladesh, very well done to them, beating India. I can tell you the Indians are really upset.
Yes.
I mean, one of the Indian guys, I wouldn't want to give you the name, who was coach of the former coach of the Indian Under-19 was just, I happened to talk to him and he was just devastated. Losing the Under-19 World Cup because they had made it their own.
Yes.
They were saying we are the best at this level. No one's going to beat us, and Bangladesh comes and surprises you. Anyway, Bangladesh 1, India 2, Pakistan 3. Where is Sri Lanka? What is their placing?
Pretty similar to where the men's team is as well.
Tell me. Where?
Number 10.
Number 10. What went wrong, Jehan? You know why I ask you this question? I know people watching would also know that there was a lot of investment made on this team. And I don't know whether the players should be even questioned, because I thought the quality of the players the team picked, no one can be perfect, I mean, you'll still find people who would pick holes in this team, but by and large, I think this was a good team. There was a lot of talent and a lot of investment made, pre-tours, experience. With all that, how can we finish 10th?
I think we deviated from our investments. Yes, we invested in the players, but then a lot of it had to do with the selections, batting positions, team combinations, like playing with only one fast bowler. Whatever the conditions, I find it very difficult to play one-day cricket with just one fast bowler.
But Jehan, and just to digress a bit, I mean, look at the management team there. Look at the coaching team. Are you trying to tell me the likes of Hashan Tilakaratne, Faviz Maroof, our good friend who used to sit here, Upul Chandana, Sachit Patirana, Vinodhan John, who's a selector, senior selector who knows a thing or two about cricket, are going to err? I mean, not obviously not seeing what you see.
Even there, I think there was a lack of consistency with the coaching staff. I think Chamin Dabas was part of the setup, then he moved out. Same with Upul Chandan, he was the field
But the
coach.
nucleus was there. The head coach remained. Hashan knew exactly what was going on. I mean,
the head coach remained, but the periphery changed.
Does it impact a lot?
It affects the dynamics of, because when you have Hashan, Chamin Dabas and Upul Chandan, all national level players who've played World Cups, won World Cups, and they are in that mix. Then you have
Upul Chandan is still there.
I'm not sure if Upul was the fielding coach on the World Cup. I don't think so, because he moved out after the West Indies tour.
Right.
And then you have Sachit Patirana, Chamila Gamage coming in there to play that role. And the investment of Vasi working with these young bowlers for 12 months. And then for the World Cup, you have or the West Indies, for the last two tours, you have a new bowling coach coming in. Same with the fielding. That intensity with the field, and having a chat to the boys as well, what they felt was that our fielding lacked, that the entire team lacked intensity, that they didn't have the same drive and motivation which they had in when they played in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, even though they lost games. I think it was the changes, because the changes to the coaching staff, the changes to the team selection, the batting lineups. It adds a bit, maybe a bit. And I also understand that players have to step up and perform. That this change is a part of being a professional cricketer, especially if you are in Sri Lanka. You have to get used to that change. But I think that is one reason. And I think the management of talent in Sri Lanka, whether it's under 19 or national level, can be better.
Well, I know that we're running out of time, but I still need to discuss something more important. But the irony of all this is that Naveen Nawaz, the former Sri Lanka under-19 coach, is the head coach of Bangladesh as they win the under-19 World Cup. But the good news is Ravindu Rashanta, the second highest run scorer of the tournament, was picked in the ICC under-19 World Cup Team of the Year, or World Cup team of the tournament. Right, Premier League is on, and lots of questions. I've been seeing stories, comments, all that kind of things about the ball. Have you brought your two balls?
Yes, Roshan, I've been shining them especially for you.
Right, good. So we've got a Kokabura ball, we've got a SG ball, and Jehan is going to try and tell you the differences, or the vital difference or two in these two, and why bowlers are struggling with the new SG ball as against the Kokabura. So is that what you're going to do?
Effectively, I'll try and explain as best as I can.
Right.
But just to explain that the two balls are completely different.
In fact, they're both round. 5.5 ounces, they got a seam, so don't worry, it's all there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about as far as the similarities go. So yes, they're both round. I don't know if you can pick it up from here, but Roshan, if you want to have a look at this, the seam on this is much more pronounced. So this is the Kokabura, and this is the NS3.
Yeah.
So the seam on this is much more pronounced.
Right.
So, and on the Kokabura, it's very flat.
Right.
So that in itself, how the ball sits in a bowler's hand is very different. For a fast bowler, it's a lot easier to keep the seam upright.
Right.
In this, you can initially with the new ball, but as the ball gets old and the seam wears down more, it's a lot harder. For a spinner, it's always easy to get grip on this, but this is slightly slippery. It's a bit of shine on it. So you need to get used to it. And you see,
this is just a technical point. Now you're talking about it being slippery. Now we're talking about finger spin. But what about the wrist? Even the wrist spin?
they need to get a good purchase on it, which is why sometimes
so can the slipperiness can cause a problem?
It can cause a problem, and you see, which is why you see sometimes bowlers putting a bit of spit on their fingers to get a bit of purchase. They might put a bit of spit on the seam to soften it up a bit, so that you get a good grip on it. So that's number one. The second point is this actually has a rough shine, and where some of the leather has been roughed up. It's very difficult to get this shining back again on the Kookaburra. Whereas on the SG, this does have rough areas, but you can shine this up very easily. So if I just give it a good...
No external substance?
No external well, you can do that if you want. Spit. A little bit of spit and a nice bit of polish.
Let's
gets this shining
saliva. Is it a better word?
It's like ladies and women's.
I'm teaching you manners.
Some saliva. Okay. So
spit
that's
is rude.
It's a
bit blunt. Spit.
It's men's
saliva
cricket.
Is nice.
It's not yet gentlemen's cricket. Okay, so saliva, and as a result, this holds this shine for longer, and it swings longer. It offers, but also this ball is a lot harder, and it comes on to the bat a lot better. So unless you're in complete control of where you land the ball, you can go for a lot of runs, and I think that's what's happening at the moment. The fast bowlers haven't figured out the lengths that they need to bowl, and the spinners, I feel, are struggling to get a bit of grip on this ball. So that hopefully can explain the difference in scores from last season to this season. Why we're getting such
500 at the moment in most games. Yeah, so that's going to be a challenge, but it's interesting because if SD is the way to go as far as Sri Lanka cricket is concerned, they may have to work with it and get used to it. You spoke about the areas to bowl. I think all those things will have to be considered. Right. I think we've taken a lot of time of yours. We're really sorry we took a little bit longer than what we would usually do, but they're important things to discuss. But before I go, I need to ask you the question of the week. Now, when did Sri Lanka defeat West Indies for the first time in an ODI? First time. That must be a long way.
Long time ago.
Were you born then?
You probably watched that game, didn't you?
I would have, But can't be Bradman's era. Anyway, I can't remember watching it, but I can tell you that I watched the West Indies in 1975. I was a very young boy. Clive Lloyd's team versus Anuratha Tennakoon's team at the SSC, full house. And memory tells me that Dulip Mendis, Sri Lanka's dynamo, that time, played an outstanding innings. That was all I can remember. But it was a full house, hardly in proper seating. I would have been about 10 or 12, but anyway, that's my first memory of the West Indies. Like last week's question, how many Sri Lankan players have scored a triple 100 in first class cricket? Actually, I was looking out for the name Jehan Mubarak. What was your highest score?
226.
220.
Against Badur Ali.
Oh, against Badur Ali, right. So Mahela Jayawardena, Kitruan Vidanage, Minod Banuka, Tilina Kandambi, Sanat Jayasuriya, Kusal Janit, Kumar Sangakkara, Udara Jayasundara and Ramesh Mendis. They were the names, and congratulations to Randir Lianage. You are the winner. So that's it on Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com. Just to remind you, as I always do, remember to subscribe to ThePapare.com because we got so much of content involving sport and cricket in particular. So thank you for watching us. Hopefully, we'll meet you the next time with good news. Sri Lanka, West Indies, Sri Lanka beating the West Indies. Lots of good news to talk about. The women's tournament or the women's World Cup. Lots of things to discuss. I'm hoping we will have a lot of good news. Until we see you again, you enjoy yourself and we hope you will have good news all the time.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for our latest content.